Let's go.
Look at the young guns I got in here.
We made it.
So stoked to have you guys here.
Stoked to be
Super
on.
fun. All right. I got the boys, and I love that you got the matching hats today, so we'll talk all about this. But I've got Spencer Wadsworth and Stu Jeremias. The nicknames will probably start flying in no time, but guys, super cool to have you in here. What's super fun, and we'll share all about the why we're here in just a minute, but the fun part for me is I've known your parents for a very long time, which means I've known you since you guys didn't exist. I grew up with your mom, your dad, and I've known your dad for about coming up on 30 years or so before they got together. So just rad. So I've watched the whole evolution, and to see what you guys are doing now, both in the sports and paddling and ocean world, and also in the work world, and we're going to talk all about it. So super cool for me to have this opportunity. And Spencer, you're good friends with my oldest son, Gianni.
Yes.
Like, it's just cool, small town, and to watch all this transpire, super rad. So the real reason, the big reason we're here, not just because it's fun, but you guys have grown up big in the water, big in the ocean, and you've turned it, part of what you guys do, and you guys do a lot, again, I know I'm bouncing all over, but you've gotten into prone, and you've done some really cool friggin' things with prone at an early age. I didn't start doing prone until I was older than you guys are, and you've already accomplished so much, including, and this is kind of the crux of it, which we'll talk a lot about, but we'll talk about the lead up too, but we have 2 world record holders right here. Right? How's that?
Yeah. I mean,
Allegedly.
yeah,
English Channel. We'll talk all about the English Channel and everything else. But the fact that you guys paddled the English Channel, that in its own right is super rad. And the fact that you did it as fast as you did and set the record, and you beat these guys that did it like 35 years ago named Laird Hamilton and Buzzy Kerbox, you bested them. So you might not best them in much in life, but you did best them on that one. So just really, really cool that you guys did it. So I'm stoked you're here, but what's more cool is you guys both have a big surf background. You come from full-blown surf turkey families, right? Like your dads are both full-on.
Yep.
Your Uncle Mark is full-on.
Full
These are
on.
guys full-on surf.
They live for it. That's what they do.
Live for it. So let me ask you this, and then we'll get into your story, but could any of this, knowing that, and we'll talk a fair bit about your family as well, how much credit do you give to your family for what you've been able to do and accomplish in the water? Spencer.
I think everything really. I mean, me and my brother were both born and raised down at the Wedge, and without that, we probably would have been baseball or soccer kids.
I'm glad that didn't work out.
Yeah, me too. So I kind of have to give it all to them for helping us being raised down there. So that was awesome, and just a great experience being able to grow up down there. It's nothing like anything else, and just super grateful.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk a lot about them, and your mom born and raised here too. So full surf beach family.
100%.
And then we alluded to it, but talk about same thing. Your family, you have full surf heritage with your dad and your uncle.
Yeah, no, I don't think I'd be sitting here today if it weren't for my dad, and he's always just been such an inspiration and got me in the water at such a young age, and I think that's really played a huge role in, my interests and what I like to do and all of it really.
Super rad. Well, you guys do a lot. You do it on the water, underwater, and on top of the water. With all kinds of crafts, which ties up to the Newport dock detail we'll talk about, the shirts you're wearing. There's a lot of moving parts here, all super, super cool. But let's do this. So I kind of set the tone for who's in the room and why you're here and what you've accomplished. But let's go to the Wayback Machine and talk about, you mentioned, Spencer, growing up down by the Wedge.
Yep.
When I think of you and your brother, Chad, excuse me, I kind of think of like John Florence growing up at Pipeline. Like you grow up in one of the world-class waves, and so John makes pipe and all those heavy waves look super easy and playful.
Yeah.
That's you and your brother at Wedge. And for many of us, most of us, and I just had Tim Burnham in here, like that is not the way that wave works for most humans unless you grow up there when it's, like you were right down the street, you're there all the time. Talk about growing up, not just the Wedge, but let's talk about growing up in Newport, what growing up was like, where'd you grow up, and schools and all that. We'll start with you.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, I grew up at the Wedge down in Newport Beach, and I went to Newport L, started there.
So we've talked about Newport L. 1 second, where's Newport L?
So Newport L is right on the beach, right on, I think it's 13th Street in Newport.
I mean, it's on the boardwalk and on the sand. Like, there's no other schools like it that I can think of.
100%. It's like nothing you can ever really imagine. And we grew up right there, ride our bikes to school every day, ride right past the waves, and every recess we'd be on the blacktop watching the surf. And then we made our way up the hill to Ensign and then went to Newport Harbor. But I feel like we really didn't start getting into really surfing wedge until we were like 6th, 7th grade. We was like kind of like a little too much for us, or my parents weren't, or my mom wasn't really too stoked on it. And yeah, and then we finally got into surfing out there. Started with bodyboarding, body surfing, and then my dad was always like, "Oh, you got to get off the bodyboards. You got to start surfing out there and getting barreled." And I think it was just beginning, and then from there, we like all my friends would start coming down, staying at my house, and it was like unreal for a while.
Yeah,
it was so fun.
Early age, and you mentioned Newport Harbor and Ensign. I mean, they're right out this window.
Exactly,
like it's half a mile from here.
Yeah,
your dad John has been in this chair. He's been on the podcast
Yes, he
here.
has.
John grew up in New York, but moved here. Has been a surf turkey forever and a big ski turkey as well,
ski
right?
guy.
And has run the Surfrider Foundation in Orange County for a very long time.
Yes.
Very passionate about it,
Yes.
which is a similarity between your parents. So, Stuey, let's talk about your family.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I know both of your parents I've known very well, and I've known your dad. I don't know your mom. I don't know anything about the story, but I don't even know exactly where you grew up. So just talk about your path.
So I was born and raised on Balboa Island, and up until recently, a couple years ago, lived there. Some of my earliest memories are swimming around in front of the house in the bay, which is a great place to learn how to swim, you know. And
What street were you on?
we were on Onyx
Perfect.
and North Bayfront, right there on the corner.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
good spot.
It's like everyone's favorite place in the world. Like my friends in Chicago go, Balboa's my favorite. If getting to grow up there or on the Wedge, so you could have swam across the bay and walked down to Spencer's house.
Seriously, I think our childhood houses are like in line with each other right
wild.
there.
Got it. And what schools did you go to?
I went to Woodland, actually.
Oh, which is
so
up
up
over
the hill,
here.
and then Ensign and Harbor.
Gotcha. And how far apart are you guys in age, school-wise?
We're 2 years apart. Actually, he's
3 years apart.
2.
For school.
School, yeah.
Yeah.
And he actually went to school with my brother. He's in my brother's grade.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was more so friends with Chad growing up,
Yeah.
and then we connected more recently with the paddle stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, but I didn't know that there was a connection with Chad.
Yeah.
And Chad, you're young. We'll talk more about
Yeah,
the Wadsworth boys, surf exploits or skim or paddle. Like there's a lot in both families. Let's talk more. So you go to you're going to those schools. What were you doing? Were you into sports? You had mentioned getting into surf early or into the water, but did you guys play stick and ball sports or anything else? Or
I mean, we played like early on. We played flag football, and then we kind of got phased out of that. Started surfing, but then I did water polo for a couple years or a year or so, and hated that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and then I think that was like 7th, 8th grade, and then was over that. Didn't want to do it in high school. Joined the surf team in high school, and then just stopped doing every other sport besides surfing, I think.
Gotcha.
So.
And you started, again, if anybody was to know Stefan and John, like full surf, like through and through and through, pushing you early, get off the bodyboard, son, start surfing the wedge. What about you? What did surfing grow? What was that like for you guys?
I think my dad threw me out there on a board when I was like 4, and just like there was not a choice, you know, I kind of had to do it. But I loved it, and it was great. And I was a big sailor growing up.
Oh, you were?
So that was another part of like my childhood, was doing that. Started on Sabbats, went to FJ's, lasers.
I did too.
Was pretty competitive for a little bit, and then sort of laid off it in my later high school years. But that was another big part of my life.
Got it. I didn't know that. That's super cool. That teaches you a whole nother, again, I said on the water, under the water. And when you start talking about what you guys are doing career-wise or work-wise, it all starts to play in. I mean, you guys have grown up on the water from a super young age. Super cool. Any sports? So you were sailing?
My dad coached an AYSO team 1 year.
So that's
and
soccer?
I think the soccer, and that was about it. I was never good at team sports, or just didn't interest me. I was never too captivated by it.
So what's interesting is like growing up, my parents are from Ohio and New York, and surfing was, in my day, it was back, it wasn't looked upon the same way it is now. And maybe when you guys were growing up, my parents were super not into it. So they said, listen, you're going to play a real sport. Surfing doesn't count, after I'd been surfing every day for years growing up. Your parents sound like they were very different. They were like, start surfing now. You don't have to do sports, surf.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm guessing your dad dragged you surfing, because if I would go surfing in Huntington, for years, I would run into either your dad or your uncle almost any day, or Blackies, right? Like they would always be out there, and they were probably dragging the kids along.
Oh, yeah. Jeremias brothers are always out there surfing somewhere. And
Got it.
we were along for the ride, and like I said, we didn't really have a choice, but it was a good way of growing up, and we loved it. It was the best. Those were the days.
Yeah. Well, you're still doing them. So let's talk about, so you guys both go to high school. here at Newport Harbor. Did you guys have like goals or plans or like what you wanted to do thereafter? And we can talk about what you've been doing since high school, college or career or trades. Stuey, what did you do after what I guess maybe during high school? What was your, like, did you have a vision for something or?
Well, I had an interesting high school because COVID was like my freshman year and I was pretty over it at that point. I didn't want to go in and deal with all that. So I took 2 years off.
Really?
I did homeschool for sophomore and junior year. And I was at home and my parents gave me a pretty long leash of like, just do what you're interested in. Do what you want to do. And so that was surfing, paddling, and working on boats. And I started picking up boats and restoring them and bringing another one home on the trailer. And they slowly started to get bigger and bigger. And then I did end up back at Harbor senior year. But as far as school went for me, that was pretty much it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, and all three of those things you're still doing. So
Still
we'll talk
doing.
about it. And what about you, Spencer?
Yeah, so I mean, like Stu said, I was a junior when COVID happened, so I'm a little bit older than Stu. But I think around that time, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I started shaping surfboards. That was what I was doing in high school, and I got really into that. I started working over at Mike Estrada's shop, and then he's actually been shaping my boards for years. Great guy, and yeah, I started working over there, shaping a bunch, and then I think that kind of faded out as I went to school. I think after high school, I took a gap year, didn't know where I wanted to go, but then I 6 months into it, I decided Point Loma sounds nice. It's right on the beach. How could you say no to that?
Is there a better surf school? Hold on, you went from Newport L, like the best beach school, to Point Loma Nazarene, which is on the cliff at Sunset Cliffs in San Diego.
Yeah.
Is there a better surf school than that?
You can't get any better, I don't think.
That's why there's so many Hawaiians. That
Exactly.
school is heavily Hawaiian, right?
Yeah, no, heavily.
Very religious.
Yep.
I don't see do you have your rosary beads on somewhere?
They're in his car. He's got them in there.
But I went to University of San Diego,
Right.
so we would surf down there all the time. But we'd always look at Point Loma and go, how do you get any better than that? Like, you've got world-class winter surf out front.
Yeah. No, it's unreal. Yeah, no, it's it's been amazing. And I went down there, decided I was gonna do that during my gap year, and then a year later, my brother comes down, and so now we have this great group of friends down there, and we live together, and it's amazing.
That's
So
cool.
I have
Good
one
for
more
you.
year, and yeah.
Gotcha. So for context, how old are you guys today?
I'm 22.
I just turned 20 last weekend.
Gotcha. So when everybody starts hearing about what you guys have done, like paddling wise and all this stuff, like you started young, which is so rad, and which I love, and it's super, super cool. Let me ask you this, and I think I know the answer, but Newport Junior Guard is one of the premier junior guard programs. Did you guys do that, either of you?
Yes, I did it all the way through.
Never did it. I couldn't pass the swim test back then.
Come on.
But I was a junior guards instructor 2 summers ago, so I experienced the program.
Which
from that
means,
side.
so let's talk lifeguarding then.
Okay.
You guys have both lifeguarded at some point,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Are you still?
I'm still current.
So how many years are you a guard?
This would be my third year.
Third year.
Yeah.
And Spence, do you still?
I did it for 3 years and then stopped. And I was also a junior guard instructor.
Oh, you were?
Which was great. It was great to go through the whole program and then become an instructor afterwards. That was great way to finish it off, my lifeguard experience. So I'm stoked I did that.
Rad.
But I don't think lifeguarding was for me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I lifeguarded for a year and I realized it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
As much as I'm passionate about it and
Yeah.
supportive of it and involved in that world, at that time, I think
Yeah.
I get it. We can talk offline.
Yeah.
I love hated it.
Yeah, that's how I felt. Yeah.
It was really interesting. But kudos for you guys doing that and for you still being in that world. I spent a lot of time on Kauai, and I've become very good friends with a lot of lifeguards over there. And they have given me gear.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they've given me all this cool Kauai lifeguard shirt. I'm like, you guys, I'm not wearing Kauai lifeguard shirts. They're like, hey, have you ever made a rescue? I'm like, sure. Would you make one right now? I'm like, sure. They're like, wear the shirt. I'm like, okay.
There you go.
I mean, it's kind of a cool way to look at it, because it's not just lifeguards that make rescues. We rely on all water people that are out there to jump in, right? And help out. Which we could go down a whole rabbit hole there, because I know you know a lot of people that have done that, especially spending as much time at the Wedge as you have. Happens a lot, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
For sure.
Yeah.
We're going to get to the water in a minute, but let's stay on career. So you guys are wearing these hats. You had mentioned boats. Talk about what you guys are doing today. Let's start with you, Stuey. Talk about, you mentioned getting into working on boats early on. Talk about the path to working on boats and what that's evolved to today.
Yeah, so I've always been around boats, sort of had boats. My parents aren't necessarily boat people, but my grandpa was super into it. And that was his thing. He loved wooden boats, fixing them up, restoring them. That was like his passion. Not what he did for work, but his passion.
And when you say wooden boats, are these big boats, small boats? What kind of?
Like bigger, like trawlers and stuff. Grand Banks was sort of his go-to. He had a bunch of Chris Crafts.
Wow.
You name it, he did it. He was a cool guy.
Super handy.
Yeah, he's Big Stu. I was named after him.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So you're definitely following in his footsteps?
I would say so.
Rad. And so did he teach you a lot? Like
I never met him, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
But, oh, wow. That's really neat. So it's like in your genes.
I think so. It must be, because I wouldn't know, but my mom says we're like the same person.
Is this mom's dad or
My mom's
dad's dad?
dad.
Your mom's dad.
Yeah.
Got it. So what does that look like? Like, what have you done? You mentioned, you had told me a story offline about what's in the back of your truck, so we'll get to that. But talk about what growing up working on boats looked like. Like, what were you doing?
Well, what's in the back of the truck is top secret.
Oh, okay.
But, so like I said, I sort of took those years off of high school and did homeschool, and that was a lot looser schedule-wise. So I think that's what I really committed to, like, wanting to understand the mechanical side of boats and being able to fix them. And I still like to rely on other people to do stuff. I sort of got to be hands-on, do it myself, And so I think I was like 15, and I got a little 13-foot Boston whaler, and it was a piece of shit. Right? No, not in the air.
It's all good.
Okay,
It's
all
all
right,
good.
all
You're
right,
safe.
all right.
You're safe here.
Okay. So, yeah, I spent like 6 months, and I had no clue what I was doing, but restoring that thing start to finish. Did everything, new gel coat, new motor, wired it up, varnished all the wood, and I loved it. The thing was my baby. And so after that, it sort of just, it stuck. And I've been doing it ever since. I don't know how many boats I've had. I think Spencer would say it's a bit of a problem.
Yeah,
it really is
a problem.
Really?
When it comes to buying boats, I think once a week he texts me, "Oh, I'm buying this new boat. Check it out."
Where do you?
Well, I get a lot of boats for free too. People love to give me their boats, and they're just like, "If you want to deal with this, it's yours."
So will you take a boat, restore it, and sell it? Is that kind of what you do?
I'll do that, and then I sort of like to keep them around too and run them. And
Okay, so when you do that, and you were growing up doing that, like, hey, mom and dad, I'm going to put another boat in the backyard, another one in the garage. Like, is that what you were doing?
Well, so what I did is we moved to Lido a couple years ago, and I don't know if you guys know, but off the bridge there's that little boatyard for the sailing program.
That's where that's the Wednesday night. Right off the bridge.
Right
Sorry,
off the
jumping
bridge.
spot.
And then the
Yep.
other one too with the Wet Wednesdays where they start.
Exactly.
But I sort of convinced the security guard to give me a key. And so to start out, that became my workshop. And I would work down there up until I think I overstayed my welcome a little bit. But yeah, since that, it's sort of progressed. And my most recent project, which I'm pretty stoked on, took me about a year straight. And I hauled it out of the water. I did the full thing, start to finish. It was a 33-foot crystallizer. And so that's the same hull as the lifeguard boats.
Oh, no way. Those are so sought after.
They're the best. I spent 5 years looking for one. It was always my dream. And it came into play, and this old man was kind of on his way out of being able to have that big of a boat still and handle it. So he sort of passed the torch to me, and he's like, you do this. You do it the right way. And so I hauled it out, rebuilt the thing, put in new stringers, glassed a new deck in, did everything on it. And then I repowered it and put 2 new engines in. Went from gas to diesel, all myself.
You can do this all yourself.
All myself.
That's incredible. That's quite a skill.
And it came out pretty awesome.
Will you keep that as your primary?
That one's for life. That one's my
So
baby.
sick.
That's never gonna.
Where do you keep these boats now?
That one's on my mooring.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know. I've seen bits and pieces and pictures of you doing stuff, but I didn't know to what degree. I think I saw you in like some other wood boat killer. Tell me about this one. Just recently on Instagram, I saw this. I know nothing more.
Last Saturday at BYC, the Wooden Boat Show. And I just finished that one up. We wrapped it up. The family, so that boat's pretty historical. It won the Catalina ski race 3 times over back in the 60s. It's a 1944 Mandela ski boat. And it's got an old 400 in it, V8, big block. Thing flies. We took it out the other night. We got it up to 50 knots.
Oh my gosh.
I think the top end's 72, but we haven't gotten there
so
yet.
you did the whole thing yourself on that as well.
Everything. It had been sitting, and the family wanted to see it back in the water, and so we promised them, you know what? We'll make that happen for you guys. and we pulled it off just in time for the boat show. I
For
mean,
the
I
boat show.
finished it the night before.
Dude, Stu, it's so rad. I just got to say, like, it's such a, it comes up a lot in here because so many people that you guys know are trying to be electrical engineers, programmers, attorneys, doctors, lawyers. But with AI coming in and the way the world is right now, like, the trades are where everybody is short.
Yeah.
If you have a skill like this, AI is not going to rebuild big blocks. They're not going to do varnish work. Like, if you have that skill, and all the older guys that I know that are in that world, they're aging out. They're looking for what's going to happen next. And as homeowners and whatever, it can be anything. You can talk about roofers, you can talk about plumbers, electricians. Like, it's so rad to hear that because you will never be without business.
Right.
Like, we have more boats than ever before here and less people to work on them.
Exactly.
And as I was mentioning earlier, a lot of those people are shoddy, unreliable. So if I always say it, and I say this a lot in Kauai, if you're talented and you have a good business mind and you're cool and have good EQ, ability to interact with people, you're set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think
That's
do
so
what you
rad.
love, and when you love it, it doesn't feel like you're working.
Dude,
You
that's
feel
so
like you're just
cool.
having fun.
Good for you. Now, what I didn't know, thank you for sharing that. What I didn't know is that you're working on boats as well.
Yes. So I think it was right after I stopped lifeguarding. My buddy, who I've been friends with, grew up surfing Wedge with, he's got this job as a deckhand on this guy's yacht. And he called me one summer. He's like, "Do you want to be a deckhand? Like, I just became captain. Like, we need a deckhand." I'm like, "Yeah, why not? Like, that sounds awesome." And did that for a couple years, and I'm still doing that. Or I worked for actually a company called Watermen, which you had Dan Levine on.
Sure. Oh, you were working with them?
Yeah, I was working for them last summer, and also working part-time with as a deckhand as well. And then I'm working again this summer, and it's been a great gig. You learn a lot about boats and engines and what to do and how to do maintenance on them and stuff I would have never figured out otherwise. And I've always wanted to own boats when I'm older, so hopefully this will help me project.
Super rad, because most people, that's so cool. Like, it's really cool that you guys have gotten together, that you guys are connected both on this aspect, on working on boats and wrenching and everything, and then also on the paddling side, which we'll get to in a second.
Yeah.
I didn't know much of either of these stories. Super rad. Again, I think it's so important for people your age to be going down these paths. You don't need big degrees and all this other stuff. You can go out and be a tradesperson and crush it.
Totally.
100%.
Anywhere in the world, you can take that skill too. Get on a boat, take it to Hawaii, take it anywhere you want, and people are going to need you to do that work if you have that skill.
Yeah.
And I'm the guy that gets on a boat. If something goes wrong, I got to pick up the phone. Like, I'm calling U.S. Towboat or
You're
something
calling
like.
Towboat US.
Yeah.
Hold tight. Get him to come
I
save
am
you.
not the guy. Like, I wish I could wrench. I'm pretty handy with a lot of stuff, mechanical stuff like that. I super envy people that have gone down that path. It's rad. Good for you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, which brings us to the most recent one. You guys have these matching hats on. What do we got going here?
Combined forces.
Yeah,
Let's
we've
talk.
combined forces on this one. Yeah, so a couple days, or maybe 2 weeks ago, I was working for my boss, and I was power washing the dock and one of his houses, right? And I thought, I'm like, Stu and I could fully just start a little business out of this. Like, there's no one who goes around all the docks in Newport and power washes them. They're all dirty, they're all gross, and rich people like their stuff clean to impress their friends. And
Well, and dirty docks equal dirty boats.
Yeah.
exactly,
Right?
exactly.
Not
yeah.
a good look.
Yeah, it's
you
not
know?
a good look.
Keep your stuff clean.
And I call up Stu. I'm like, "Hey, dude, we gotta do something about this. Like, we gotta capitalize on this." And next thing you know, we're starting this little boat or dock power washing company in the harbor, and yeah, we just started it.
I love it. I
So-
love the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
And again, I mentioned when you both I think you just picked up these hats today, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is
Literally
brand
30
new.
minutes
Brand new.
ago.
This is awesome.
Brand
Thank
new.
you, Michelle Barron.
Yeah,
for
Michelle
doing the
Barron,
hats for
shout
us.
out.
It's so great. But going back to what I've been saying now for the last couple of minutes, but I think that will expand into so many different opportunities.
Uh-huh.
Again, hey, my dock has this missing. Oh, that switch doesn't work. Like, all of a sudden, this turns into something more. It starts with a dock detail, and it turns into like a full service
Yes.
subscription biz.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
rebuild your whole dock for you if you want us.
Or your motors on your boat.
Anything. Call
Well,
us.
That's
We'll
super
take
smart.
care
I
of
love
it.
to watch that happen, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we are talking about future. And is this like, before I go to the next step, if I had a magic wand, is this what you're doing forever? I think I've picked up. This is what you're doing.
Yeah. If I want a boat, I'm happy. So
Got
I think it's my path. And if you ask my parents, they think I'm on my third gap year. They think I'm going back to school at some point, but I don't know if that's the case.
Gotcha.
They're just finding this out now. But
Got it. All right. Hey, that's all good. What about you, Spencer? What do you think? Magic wand.
I don't know. I've thought about a lot of career paths, and I still am unsure. But I like what I'm doing right now, and if this can make some money, then I'll be stoked. But I've thought about going into real estate, but I honestly I do not know.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I talk about it all the time. Some people know.
Yeah.
Like you guys are I talk about this all the time. Some people know from the time they were little what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, myself included, Gianni's known what he wants to do.
Yeah.
My son that you know very well. But the rest of us in the family, we didn't know until after college and kind of go down a path and figure it out. So I don't think there's a right or wrong, but if you can find it, hallelujah. It's
No,
awesome.
100%.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so that's career and where we're going. Let's go back to the more fun. Let's get back in the water.
Yeah, let's do the fun stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like this is pretty fun
It's
too.
fun too.
I'm going to start with you over here on.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
what's fun about you guys, the way I see it, is the way you guys have grown up in the water and surf, and the kind of surfing you do, and the families that you guys have, to me, feel pretty different. Your dad's a little bit more like Wedge, hardcore, shortboard. You've been more of like the not hipstery, but kind of
A little bit.
Yeah,
I've dabbled with
you
the
shaved the
hipster
mustache. You have the hipster mustache.
more
that's
clean
gone.
cut these
But like
days.
your dad's always, and uncle were always ride everythings. They're into they were movie makers to a degree, as far as they're into more like historic, the history of surf, alternative for
Yeah.
sure. And meanwhile, and you guys are like pure shortboard. We're going to go surf Wedge. We're going to go surf Tavarua. But there's no right or wrong. I think that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, no.
And it all kind of combined into the paddling side. But let's go. I want to start with you on the Wedge. So you shared a bit about growing up there when you were getting into like sixth grade, et cetera. But like, as I said, all the stuff I've watched with you and your brother over the years, you toy with it. You guys make it look super fun. There's other guys like, the Sage Burks of the world, like guys that have just grown up there doing it. Tim Burnham, you guys make it look super fun and playful. I kind of equate it, it's different but similar. I watch really good foilers and they make it look super fun and easy, and it's one of the hardest things in the world, just like the Wedge.
100%.
Talk about growing up at the Wedge and what that's been like for you and everything else.
Yeah, no, I mean it's been great. I think just the one factor of growing up there, you see the raw power of what it can really do to you and what you can really see. And going to other places in the world, it helps so much because you've already experienced all being at the Wedge, growing up the Wedge, getting pounded out there. Like if you go anywhere else in the world, it's so much easier. When you go over to Tavarua, you surf cloud break after surfing Wedge your whole life. You're like, oh wow, this is great. I can actually make a barrel. So that's great in that sense. And then growing up around the water down there, it's like you learn so many skills in as a waterman because you're in all these big rip currents and you're in big surf, and like I said, going anywhere else in the world just make it 10 times easier. And I love that factor, and I love that I was able to put myself in that when I was a kid, and now I'm not scared anywhere else I go. So
Yeah.
that was amazing for me.
Well, and it shows. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll share your Insta and all that stuff when this goes live, because watching you and watching your brother out there, or anywhere in what you guys,
Right.
your brother Chad sends it. And so talk real quickly about Chad right now. Chad's crushing.
Yeah, no, he's crushing. He's on, if you don't know Chad Wadsworth, he's my little brother. He's a skimboarder on the world tour. He was actually just over in Brazil for a month doing a contest for his second stop on tour. I don't think he did super well in that contest, but overall he's the top 5 in the world right now, and he's still skimming Wedge most days, and probably more than me. I kind of tapped out because I don't want to get hurt out there anymore.
Is that right?
And I'll just go out when it's really good and perfect. My wave, what I like now about Wedge, I like cylinders. Cylinders left. I don't want to expose it too much on here, but that's my zone.
You just did.
Yeah, you just did.
That's my
Nice
zone.
That's all right. Listen, if I can level set for anybody, that's where my son went over the falls and broke his leg, because it's like, I think Tim Burnham, who's BBQ Wedge, expert for 30 years, he's like, cylinders is gnarlier than Wedge. You have to know it. Again, that's the beauty. You know the days to go where not to go, what waves to go on. Tim was saying, he's like, that's a Zen den. I was like, not many people can call Wedge their Zen den. You have to be so comfortable out there and it's just doing reps. You've been out there so much on so many different days. But yeah, I've watched you send it, and I've watched your brother sends it skimming, pulling the crazy. It's really fun to watch.
He probably sends it harder than me out there. I think him on the skim is pretty next level.
Yeah, it's rad to watch.
It's wild.
Yeah. But I can only imagine, then you go out, like you said it, if you, I don't want to overstate, if you master the Wedge, if you've got the Wedge that familiarized and have spent that much time out there and you've gotten destroyed a zillion times, going to surf Sunset Cliffs on a big day is like you're toying with it.
I mean, yes and no. There's actually a couple waves out there where I'm like, wow, like the currents get really bad when it gets big and it'll just rip you right out. I'm like, oh wow, there's like wedge current, like it feels like the rip currents. But yeah, for the most part, yes, yeah, it's
Super
it's nice going down there and you're like, oh, you don't have to worry about if there's a wave, it's gonna hit you in the back or you're gonna get cleaned out by a set at wedge, you know.
I would imagine you said it. If you can surf wedge, you can surf anywhere.
Yeah, and so it's great. I love having that.
Super cool. Not something I possess.
Me neither.
Yeah. So you guys, your dad would always be on like old school, you know, bonzery or longer boards or older mid lengths before they were called mid lengths. Very more vintagey stuff. Super rad and cool. Is that what you grew up riding? Were you more like that?
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. I was always into that stuff. Sort of the older, big longboarder actually. I'm mostly longboard, and we were super into collecting the old boards. That was sort of like our father-son bonding thing, was going out and finding these old boards, especially ones from Newport, you know, like Joe Quigg, Pat Curran, all those guys. We would go out and search for these old boards built in the 50s and 60s and ride them too. So that is what I end up surfing a lot of the time.
Do you guys have a good collection of boards like that?
Yeah.
You do? Mm-hmm. I mean, those names, you're talking Pat Curran when he was shaping here. A lot of people didn't know. Joe Quigg, one of the absolute legends in surfboard design back from the 40s, 50s?
40s, 50s. And then he later got into building boats. And I have a sailboat that he built.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Dang. Wow, that's so cool. I didn't know that. So, yeah, you're not going to ride those at the wedge. That's what I'm saying, like total different approach.
I actually, to backtrack a little bit, I went from short boards to like mid lengths to twin fins, and I started riding a bunch of twin fins out at wedge, and that's what I've been experimenting with for the past couple of years now. Is I only ride twins out there unless it's like really big and I actually need a tri-fin, which is fair. But I love twin fins out there because they're fast and they make it through the barrel. Because there's not many waves it's hard to make waves out there. It's fast. It's hard to get over the foam ball. And when you're on a twin, it's a more flat board, and you just shoot through the barrel.
Wow. See, those are the things like most of us normal humans that don't ever surf the wedge aren't ever going to realize like that you can make something like that work that well out there. Super rad. Yeah. Are you still collecting boards like that?
Yeah. I've laid off it a little bit because there's an obsession for a while. It's like all I thought about was going out and finding these old boards. I love the old wooden boards too. For a while, I was just looking for the ones built in the 50s. Out of Balsa with like the Velsies, Hobies, all
Dude,
that.
I love this. We have such the dichotomy here, like the old school, like you're throwing out the names. When we get into prone, like I love it because all the names you're saying have a place in the prone history.
They were big in the prone scene too.
Exactly.
Joe Quigg and Tommy Zahn, they were the guys back in the day.
And there's a Tommy's on board down at Spencer Kroll's place down here on the island, which is down by Lido.
Just down the street from me. I've seen that board. It's incredible.
It's incredible from the 50s.
Yeah.
But I love the dichotomy, yet it's just super cool. But I love the history. I love that history as well. I saw you last year at your booth down at the Redo Market in Dana Point. Tell us about that.
That was a cool little thing. I did that with my friends last year. We sold some stuff. Cleaning out the garage was what that was. All the extra stuff I didn't need, we just kind of set up. And that's a great little deal they have down there with that market.
We love that.
It's amazing in such a nice way where the community gets to come together and do cool stuff. And we just had a booth and some old boards. I think I was slinging some old boards and all sorts of
That's totally your world, huh?
Vintage stuff.
You know, it's interesting. I think the connection between your grandpa Stu that you never met, that was your mom's father, and what your dad, like you're like the cross-pollination of Grandpa Stu and your dad Stefan, right?
The two worlds collide.
Because they're is that what? Like, I don't know your mom. Of the four parents, your mom's the one I don't know.
Yeah.
But it would seem like she married someone very similar to her dad.
Except for the fact that he didn't surf.
He didn't surf.
But
he was into the vintage, old school boats and all that. But boating version of your dad on the surf side.
Yeah, he's
right?
big into boating, and he raced cars.
Oh.
Yeah, old Porsches and stuff.
Rad. What fun stories you guys have. Like, again, if anybody wants to listen to the John Wadsworth interview, he talks about migrating from growing up in New York and making his way out here to allow you the opportunity to grow up surfing the wedge. Super rad.
Very grateful.
Super cool. Okay, so I think we've talked surf, we've talked wedge, we've talked boats, we've talked boards. Hold on, Stuey. You just mentioned, the last thing, you've Spencer, you were talking about shaping boards. You just made like an old classic. Did you make a Balsa? Did I see you made one?
Tanner Prairie
Tanner.
shaped that for me. And the story behind that, so it was old growth balsa wood, 10-foot planks from the 30s, which you can't find. That wood is impossible to come by. And when I was living up in Santa Barbara for a brief stint, I was in Santa Paula one weekend, and I stumbled upon this old lady. She had this house with the garage open, and I saw a couple boards or something, old boards. So I bought some boards off her, and I went in her garage, looked up in the rafters, and there was this balsa wood. And so I snagged it, brought it back down, and that's what you saw is the board that Tanner made me. And that was one of Joe Quigg's templates that we used for that board that he had via Mike Marshall.
See, you're like, I love this. You're like the young surf historian. Like, I love this.
I don't know about that, but
but you're definitely on the path. Like most of your contemporaries your age wouldn't know the Joe Quiggs. They probably wouldn't know many of the names you've thrown out. The fact that you know it and you're using their templates and all this is super cool.
Yeah.
Rad. I love it. Okay. This brings us to kind of where you guys connected on what we're going to start talking about now, which is prone paddling.
Yeah.
So we were talking, I mean, it's really interesting how you guys have come together from similar but different kind of paths in the ocean in Newport and how you grew up. Prone paddling is a whole different animal.
Yeah.
Can you guys talk about prone paddling? Let's start with you.
Like
Spence.
how we started or how we started paddling?
I remember how we started.
Yeah, I remember how
Tell that story and we'll go from there.
I'll say that. That story is pretty funny.
That's classic.
Let's go.
So it was Memorial Day weekend, like 2-3 years ago, and I was down there on Michael Vaughn's boat. You know Michael. And we were with all our buddies, and Stu rolls up in his little 12-foot dinghy.
Where were you?
Oh, in Emerald Bay. And Stu rolls up in his 12-foot dinghy and with his girlfriend. And
At the
time girlfriend. And I'm like, dude, you want to start paddling together? And he's like, yeah, dude.
No,
I'm
you
down.
wanted to buy my board. Is
Oh,
what
that's
it
what it was.
Because I'm a big Unlimited
That's right.
guy.
Okay.
And he wanted to try one out. I was like, dude, I have one. I'll sell you. And so I think like a week later, he came over to my house and gave it a spin.
Yeah, and we did the El Moro run, 15-miler, and I think from there we were just like,
We were just on.
let's start training. He convinced me to do the classic. I'm like, all right, yeah, let's do it. And
Okay,
yeah.
press pause right there. First
Yeah.
and foremost, I love that you're always selling.
A wheel and deal.
We're
That's what
always,
I do.
always selling.
But
buying and selling.
The thing is, he never ended up selling me the board.
We went to Joe's shop and we ordered new
Joe
ones
Parks.
together that
Yeah.
match.
Yeah.
We
We
have
got
you
matching
guys-
boards.
Classic. Okay, so prone paddling, for anybody that doesn't know, this isn't a paddling, this is a storytelling pod, but when we get to this English Channel that you did on a prone board, so prone boards are either 12-foot, some 14, or unlimited, which is 16, 17, 18 foot, and you paddle it on your arm with your arms like a surfboard, on your belly, or on your knees. And it's the lifeguards race short distance, but most of what we're going to be talking about here is long distance stuff.
Right.
And the biggest races of the year is the Catalina Classic. You just mentioned goes from Two Harbors to Manhattan Beach Pier, 32 miles. It's going on. Who started that one? Back in the 50s?
Wasn't that Tommy Zahn and Dale Velzy?
Those guys were
and
all
those were the guys.
Yeah, see?
And Quigg raced it too.
That's right. The Legends did that back in those days. And then the other one is the Molokai to Oahu, another
Yes.
32-mile, totally different approach. We will talk about those events because you guys have history in that and futures in that. But you guys, let's talk about where prone paddling started for you. Why did you get into it and when and where did that come about? Because I got to tell you, this is warming my heart, how big prone paddling has gotten in Orange County and in California. And we have the Bend Did Go coming up with 100 paddlers. When for all the years that I was training hard and racing, there was 3 of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nobody knew what we were doing. What is that thing? Did you lose your paddle? Like, it was an unknown. So the fact that it's so mainstream now, it's really, really cool for me. So having you guys in here and super passionate about it, because like anything, some people get in it to do to exercise or to support their surfing. Some people get in it to do some longer stuff, and some people get it and go, I want to race this thing, which is what you guys. So that's what I appreciate. So talk about how you went from surfing and surfing wedge to going, I want to do this paddling thing. Where did that start for you, Spencer?
Yeah, so I think it was like 8th or 9th grade, about to get into high school. It was like my birthday was coming up. I'm like, Dad, I want a bark board.
But
Like,
why? Like, what was the catalyst for that?
I can't really remember. I think I want to do the bend, but I was like, I was still on the fence about it, but I knew I wanted to do it. And me and all my friends were talking about doing it.
What's the Ben?
Ben did go from Catalina to Newport for the memorial of Ben Carlson that goes on every year. And I wanted to do that, and this was like right when it started, I think. But it never ended up happening. I never ended up doing it until recently. And I was paddling just like for fun and never really got really into it until I think my buddy Michael Vaughn called me up one summer. He's like, dude, let's do the Ben Carlson this year, like the event. Like, let's train together. And this is before Stu and I started paddling together. So the summer before that. And
Michael's is he a Laguna lifeguard?
Newport lifeguard.
Oh, he's a Newport guy.
He's out on the boat.
Oh, that's right. I
Sea-Watch.
forgot about that. Yeah.
And we started training together that summer, and it was kind of the beginning and end from there. I was like, did the Ben Carlson event. I'm like, oh, this is sick. Like, I love the endurance factor. I love the long distance, and I've always loved like I love the idea of being an endurance athlete. Like, I love the ultra running stuff, and I didn't really know paddling or what it could really be. And I loved like being able to push myself and see how far you could really push your body before collapsing. And I became obsessed with that, I think. And then the next summer, I met Stu, and we started training together, and we started training hard. And we did the classic together. We were supposed to do Molokai last summer.
Year fell apart.
We were supposed to do the 2-man relay, and Stu.
But we're doing it this year.
Stu got a little sick a couple days before,
right.
so we had to pull out. So that was a bummer. But we're doing it this year, and I think that's how it started.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Stu, what got you into it?
Mine, I remember it pretty vividly. I was about 10, and our neighbor a few houses down came over to our house one day with an old wooden kook box from the 30s. You know,
Wow.
like the real
Yeah,
old
I have one
toothpick
on the
style
wall. They're amazing.
paddleboard. And he's like, hey, I want to give this to you.
Oh,
And he built it in the street in front of his house back in the 30s off of the popular mechanics. In the newspaper, they had like an article with the Tom Blake plans to build one.
so for anybody's sake, you mentioned the word kook box. So
Yeah.
talk about what a kook box is, so somebody understands what you're talking about.
So I think the kook box is the original paddleboard. Most would agree. And was it Tom Blake built that as sort of a life-saving device back in the 30s, following that famous Dukanimoku rescue at Big Corona.
Which was just celebrated for its 100-year anniversary.
The centennial, yeah, absolutely.
So that Tom Blake, the kook box, it's built like an airplane wing. So it's hollow with chambers in it and ribbed. And you mentioned the specs for that were actually in Popular Mechanics magazine back in the 50s. So people started making them almost like a kit.
Right.
And back before surfboards were made from foam, they were either solid wood or they were made like a kook box. And so the history down here on the peninsula and Balboa Island is you used to be able to rent those to paddle around. Some people would surf them, but that's what people use. Like today you'd go down and get a soft top or rent a stand-up paddleboard. Back then, that was what people used. Today, if you can find one of those originals in rafters on Balboa Island, which I know you go snooping around for.
I do. I love the annual Island Garage Sale. That's
We
what
all
I
go looking for,
to.
I look for those too. Those are, you'll find them. They'll be 90 years old and they're incredible. So it's really cool so this guy made it.
On Balboa, in front of the house on sawhorses. He built it off the plans.
That's so neat.
And I think that was the first paddleboard I ever took out, was that. And then...
Hold on, can you imagine paddle? So they are like 14 feet long.
Yeah, I've seen them anywhere from 12. I actually just picked one up a few weeks ago. Get this, a little bit of a tangent, but it's one of the...
I want to come to your house and see all this stuff.
One of the old rental boards from the Newport down in CDM, that shack there, and it's 8 foot. It was made for a kid.
You're kidding.
It's like a little scaled down children's kook box.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want it.
Solid redwood.
I'll buy it from you.
Killer.
I love this stuff, Stu. This is super cool.
So I started paddling on that.
Wow.
And then fast forward a few years. Do you know Mark Simpson?
Sure.
So the Simpsons would come down and stay at our house every summer. And one year he rolled up on the Westphalia with 2 bark stock boards on the roof of the
Hold
van.
on, that's your house that he would always stay at?
Yeah.
I know exactly where it is.
Yeah.
And he would, okay, I know the story.
So he rolled up with the paddle boards, and I was just fascinated. Still pretty young at that point. I think I was like 12. And I was like, what's that? He's like, you want to try it? Like, take it for a spin. Give it a go. And the rest is history.
Wow. So Mark Simpson's friend, he was long timer at Hurley, went on to IPD. I think he's at Quick now, but life in the surf industry. And he's done the Ben.
Yeah.
His boys have done the Ben.
Him and Jack.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so that's the story. Super interesting. I'm still coming over to check out
Check
the
out
box
the
you got.
stats. They're kind of all over the place, but I'll round
If
them up
one
for ya.
disappears, I don't know who it was. It wasn't me. Okay, so the first event you do is the bend.
Yes.
First one you do is
The bend.
you do the bend as well.
Ben was the first long distance paddle that I ever did. And I think that was a 7.0. Was that the first one?
You did it before. You did it the year before I did it for the first
So
time.
this year will be the 10-year anniversary
Yeah.
coming up in July, or I'm sorry, in September. The anniversary of Ben's passing is July 6th?
Six, I
Sixth,
think.
yeah.
And Ben Day will be July 2nd,
Okay.
which is his birthday. Okay, so how many times have you done the bend?
Twice now.
3 times.
3 times. All right. I'm going to pivot back over here. Let's talk about the bend, but I want to talk about who paddled it with you last year.
My dad paddled it with me last
Yeah.
year, which was awesome.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, no, I think beginning of the summer, he's like, he saw me starting the train, and he's like, oh, I watched you do it last year. The first year I did it, he was on the boat with me as my support team, and I think he was thinking to himself like, oh, I got to do this next year. Like Spencer's doing it, like I want to do it with them. And the next year comes around, he buys a board, and we start training together. And it was kind of the beginning and from there. Like we just trained all summer, and he probably put in a little bit more effort than I did, which was good to see him out there. And
His starting
grinding.
point was a little different than yours.
Yeah, and
But your dad's a beast. I mean, he's such a fit guy.
no, he's
John's
a
an
beast.
animal.
He's a
He's an
beast.
animal.
And yeah, he'll paddle Stu and I. And
He smokes us.
He'll smoke us almost every time.
I love it.
He doesn't take breaks. He's just nonstop, head down, which is
Grind.
awesome. And yeah, we started training together, and yeah, he did the bend, and it was awesome. Great experience. And
It's got to be when you guys hit. So the bend, real quick, as we mentioned, is the memorial. It's a 30-mile paddle from Avalon to Newport Pier. I think we had 1,000 people on the beach at the finish this year. It's a huge celebration, and it was a tough day. Like
It was
the
a tough
first
day.
half of this last year of the 9.0 was
That was
super
rough.
challenging.
Yeah, it was a rough one.
Cold, and then the second half got a little bit
was
nicer.
great, yeah.
But how was it coming up on the finish with your dad?
yeah, no, it was all time. I think we finished together. We got like 2 miles out, and our support boat threw some beers. I think Stu was right there with us.
Yeah.
And
So rad.
we were all drinking beers for the last 2 miles, and we were just celebrating. It was awesome. And then we got in the interview with Jonathan Wayne Freeman,
That's right.
which was epic.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
And your mom was on the boat to support?
Yes, my mom
She
was
must
on
have
the
been
boat.
pretty stoked to watch
Yeah,
that.
no, she was loving it. I think her days of being support team are coming to an end.
Is that right?
Yeah.
She might paddle it soon.
Yeah, well, I'm
Shannon
trying
got
to-
on a
hear it.
board. Shannon got on a board afterwards. She was all inspired.
Yeah, and I've been trying all year. I've been like, let's do the bend, whole family. And
Chad's got to do it too.
I don't know, but I'm trying to get my brother to do it this year.
He'll do it at some point.
I need to get him out there.
Get Gianni to do it too.
And Gianni.
Got to do it. So you've done 2, you've done 3.
Yeah.
And then where did you guys take it from there? Classic.
We did the
Let's talk about the Catalina Classic.
yeah.
I want to say too. The first year I did the
Yeah.
bend, I almost didn't finish.
Really?
Yeah, I fell apart at mile 25, and if it wasn't for Purdy, I don't think I would have.
Spencer.
I wouldn't have pulled it off because all I had the whole way across was Red Bull and Starburst.
Ooh,
and
God,
it
good thing you didn't
go
have-
good. I didn't even drink water.
Hold on. But how old were you on your first bend?
15
Dude,
or 16, I forget, but
It was
pretty
what,
young.
3 years ago.
that's so great.
Yeah.
Like I didn't start paddling prone. I didn't even know about it till I was in college. It really didn't exist much. Little niche up in like the Classic used to have like 25 people that would do it until I stumbled on it during college. But I didn't do my first Classic until I was 26. So the fact that you guys are already packing channel crossings at this age is so cool. We'll talk about the Classic in a minute, but more than that, what's it feel like when the first time you crossed the channel paddling? You had a hard time that first
Yeah,
year, so
I
it might have felt again.
passed
Hold
out.
on, Red Bull and Starburst.
That was it. That was my nutrition.
Yeah.
It hasn't
program
gotten
right
much
there.
better, but I've been fine tuning it.
Not
a
only
bit.
did you almost have a heart attack, you almost lost all your teeth from cavities from
Yeah,
that one.
that's been an ongoing
Dude,
problem.
That's crazy. But crossing that channel again, growing up surfing here your whole life, looking at that island on every day that it's visible, or on Santa Ana days, flying over it all the time. Like we see it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To paddle it, and then you go across on a boat.
Right.
It's a long day on a boat. So
Oh,
the
yeah.
first time you paddle it, how did that feel when you accomplished it?
I mean, I think it was just the feeling of like kind of euphoric. Like you're like, oh wow, I really just did this, and like you're just stoked because your body just went through 30 miles of pain, and you get through it. You're like, wow, I could do a lot more than I really think I can. And I think that's like what keeps us going more and more, because you realize your body's capable of a lot more than you really think. And I think that's why I keep doing it. I love doing it. So
Rad. Coming from a guy that gets destroyed at the wedge and goes back for more. This is easy compared to the wedge. Stuey, what about you when you finished it the first time?
It's hard to put it into words, but it's just one of those things like, I feel like you do it once, you could never stop doing it. It's just keep coming back for more. And I think it's so cool to get from point A to point B under your own power. And I think most of it's just mental.
Yeah.
Just like thinking you can do it. If you think you could do it, you could probably do it.
Yeah. Hallelujah. Yeah, I haven't stopped. There's a reason for it. It's hard. It's hard to stop. So the Ben is a fundraising paddle, and we keep it at a nice, easy pace of 4 miles an hour.
Yes.
Now, easy pace for you guys is not easy for some of the newbies that are 4 miles an hour is really hard, but you guys are probably doing that with 3 fingers on one hand. Especially if you're on your unlimited board or something.
Right. Last year was the first time I crossed that channel on a stock.
Yeah.
It was a good change.
It's good to mix it up and do it that way for sure.
Yeah, you did it too.
I did do it.
I'm proud of you.
I did.
Okay, so you take, but it's not a race. That is a fundraising
Yes.
paddle. We try to keep everybody together. We're cruising. We're stopping every 5 miles. Then there's the Catalina Classic, which is the granddaddy of them all, and it's a 32 mile.
Yeah.
And it's race, and you have to qualify.
Yes.
So you have to go through the process of getting your speeds up and going to races, and then you qualify. When was your first? Talk about your first class. How many times have you done the class?
I've just done it once.
Just last year?
Yeah, just last year.
And Stewie?
Twice. But my first ever race was actually Molokai.
No way.
Yeah.
You know what? I never looked at it that way. Okay.
That was my first legitimate paddleboard
That
race.
is-
Was Molokai to Oahu.
Okay, we're gonna put a pin on that one for a second.
Okay.
But that's rad and dumb and rad.
Dumb. It's really dumb.
No, he handled.
It's incredible. Like, that is such an accomplishment because it's so different. I was using the analogy. They're both 32 miles, but it's the equivalent of the difference between skiing slalom and skiing moguls.
Yeah.
You're skiing, but everything else is different.
Totally different
Totally
approach.
different approach.
Totally different.
And there's a lot of variables that go into Molokai that are different. But let's talk about the Classic. So you've done it once, you've done it twice. Talk about the Classic and what that's been like.
Yeah, no, I think, leading up to it was stress case. I think my biggest issue with the Classic was getting my nutrition dialed this year. I felt like my training was pretty solid. Like, my endurance felt great, but my nutrition was terrible. And
Hold on, were you living on Red Bull and Starburst?
No, not quite the Stu
Guilty.
program. But it was more just when I got over there, I just couldn't eat anything because I was so stressed out. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is intense. Like, seeing everyone being over here finally, and I just couldn't get food down, and like that was my biggest issue. So the morning of, like, I still couldn't eat. Stu and I were staying on the same boat, and we launch from the boat, go to the beach, start the race. Like, the first 10 miles, I was like, oh, I'm great pace, like 5.5 hour mile pace. I'm doing great. I feel great. And then, like, I think I started to eat at mile 10, but it was mile 20 once I passed our 10, everything just went to shit. And I was like just sitting on my board. I like couldn't move. I felt like I was dying, honestly. And I finally got some food in my system, and somehow, like, after 3 miles, like barely pulling it while I was paddling, I just like snapped out of it, and I'm like, oh, it's on. Like, I'm gonna finish, and I ended up finishing.
Rad.
So.
I think I remember your mom telling me, like, we were forcing turkey sandwiches down your throat or something, like making you eat.
Yeah.
Is that right? Like, you had sat up.
Oh yeah, no, there's a photo of me mid-channel, I think, sitting up on my board, like eating a sandwich.
Yeah, you only sit up if you're hurting.
If you're hurting, yeah.
Yeah, got it. Good for you. And how was that experience?
Oh, it was amazing. I think, like, easily my one of my biggest accomplishments.
Rad.
So
Love that.
Yeah.
And especially if it hurts, it's that much more insightful. If it's really easy the first time, it doesn't have the same impact.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean the same.
It doesn't mean anything. Yeah. Or I feel like you almost want it to hurt more, because then you learn so much about what to do next. Like, oh, I could change this thing. I could do that differently, or train a little bit more, And it's like navigating through that is like very helpful.
You'll never make that nutrition mistake again.
Exactly.
Right?
No,
The
exactly.
first one's like your baseline,
Yeah.
and from there you can only improve.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so Stu, let's go to you. So instead of going the normal route, which is go from the bend, excuse me, to the Classic, which is like a natural progression, you go, I'm going to go, and Molokai is a month before. So Molokai is the end of July. The Classic is the end of August. Talk about when you made the decision, I want to go to Molokai.
I woke up one day, I think I was bored sitting on my couch, and I was just like, you know what? this is what I want to do. This is my goal for the summer. I'm going to go do Molokai to Oahu. At the time I want to say then I was 16.
So rad.
And so I called Joe Bark, and I was like, hey, Joe, like, do you think I could do this? Like, he's like, yeah, go do it. And so he made me a board. I started training, as best I could. And I relied on you, Mark, a lot for that, because I know you'd done it a bunch of times. And you're like, just go paddle in like the worst possible conditions. Upwind, sidewind, whatever. Just go out there and paddle till you can't paddle anymore. And so I tried to prepare as best I could, and then went over there. And Kirk Fritz, who you actually connected me with, that is he's my dad's friend.
We grew up in same class
CDM.
here. Yep.
And he has just played such a pivotal role in helping me once I was over there, getting everything dialed in. I flew over there by myself.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Fritz to the so Kirk's got 5 kids, so he's used to having kids, and he's done Molokai quite a few times. And he was an Ironman athlete, just ripping surfer, and he's lived in Hawaii probably the last 25 years. So he was a good connection for sure. Yeah,
and he wasn't doing that year by chance. It just worked out that way, and so he took me under his wing, did a bunch of training paddles over there, paddled with Toa Pere a little bit, and all those Hawaiian guys leading up to it, and just sort of got the route down, paddled, China Wall at the end there, practiced the finish, and then went for it, flew over to Molokai, stayed with John and Shannon over there. They're a local family. They took me in. I did the race. My dad wouldn't go on the support boat. He flew over and wouldn't go on the support boat.
I don't know if I blame him.
Because he didn't like boats.
Being on a boat in that channel is brutal.
Yeah.
It's a sloppy, wild, long day. Mm-hmm. How'd it go for you?
He just left me in the hands of these 2 Hawaiian guys who showed up the night before on the boat, ripped over. They had like a 22-foot force or something. And it was awesome. That was a great race. And it was a cool year because I think in the U19, it was me, Toa, and Lucas Forbes from New Zealand. So there were some young guns in it. And we battled it out. It was awesome. I mean, it's hard to describe what it feels like being out there in that channel because it's so different. And that bump, it's like so raw and so powerful. But you get out there and you just kind of find your groove and start chipping in and riding them. And it was a good experience, I think, for me at that point in my life. And I'll never forget it.
Dude, good for you. And you guys are going to get that's such a rad story. And you're talking some pretty good names. Like Toa is one of the top prone paddlers in the world right now. And he's young.
He's young.
Super impressive. He's got good stock, but he's training hard on outrigger and
he does it all.
He does it all. Super impressive. And then you come back, and did you do the Catalina the next month?
Yeah.
Super impressive.
Straight to the Classic.
How'd that go?
All while working a full lifeguard schedule, I might add. So I barely got the time off work, but I swung it.
And that was at 16 years old?
Yeah.
I always say, like, when I talk to people like you're like, oh, I went and did Molokai, then I came back into Catalina, and I was working a full-time job. When I was 16, I was like, I couldn't have made myself a sandwich like that. like, that's so impressive. You were able to pack it all in. What was the Catalina like for you?
That Catalina year was rough for me. I got my ass handed to me.
Really?
Yeah.
More so than Molokai?
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Wow, why?
I don't know what it was, but I think it took me like 9 hours to get across the finish line.
That was the year when it was super windy.
It was the conditions.
It was the conditions.
Those conditions sucked. It was a headwind from the start line, and we were fighting it all across. And I'm this scrawny little, 120-pound kid on an unlimited board thinking I'm all cool.
Yeah,
and
getting pushed around a lot.
Yeah, it was rough, but I finished. I paddled it basically alongside my good buddy, Hayden Paul, who's a lifeguard down here. And barely made it across, but good support crew. I think they were really the reason I made it because I wanted to quit. But ever since then, it's been great. And last year, the conditions were amazing.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be my sub 6 hour year. I was just on the cusp of it. I was like 6:02.
Yeah, 6 is for most humans, 6 is the goal. Like if you can crack 6, you had a good year. And it changed. The conditions play the biggest role. But I mean, Jack Bark broke 5 last year.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
like what?
unreal.
Broke the record.
454 or something?
Yeah, right in there. Broke the record that had
Crazy.
stood for over 20 years.
Yeah.
So it was pretty good conditions, but he trained like a monster. Super
Yeah.
impressive to watch. But if you're getting 6 hours is always the goal, whether it's 5:58 or 6:02. I mean, like if you're coming in at 6, it's a really solid pace.
Yeah. And Wad did really good too that year. You were like what, 6:15?
Just a couple minutes behind you, I think.
Right there.
Yeah.
So we both
That's
just
great.
Heads
That's always
down
good.
and went for it.
That's great. Well done. And the Classic's a whole different animal because there's so much history with that one. The Bend, again, great fundraising community event, but the Classic has so much, probably like what you like. It has so much
that's why I'm
storied
drawn
history.
to it, I think, is the history, and then Joe and that crew out of PV bringing it back in the 80s, and just all of it. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Fascinates me.
Yeah, rad. I love it. And, that's been a big passion play for me for a very long time. So anybody young getting into it and fired up about it makes me super happy. So I love seeing you guys do that. Well, listen, this is getting us closer to, like, what I also love about you, Stu, like, you just love a good adventure. Like, I'm going to go I've never done Catalina Classic, but I'm going to go do the Molokai. And then I'm going to come back and do the Classic. All right, let's talk about the adventure that you guys went on earlier this year.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Talk about paddling the English Channel. Where did that thought come from? Because people do it and people swim it, but I don't know anybody from here that's gone over to do that. And you guys got the bug to go do it. Where did that come from?
Yeah. I think it was after the Ben. Stu called me up and he's like, dude, you want to go like paddle the English Channel? I'm like,
Stu, love it.
Yeah, I'm down because Stu always
He thought I was joking.
I
though.
thought I was, because Stu always comes to me. He calls me up and he's like, dude, let's go do this. Let's go do that. Like, you want to do a 100-mile paddle around Catalina? And I'm like, dude, like, ooh, I don't know, man.
No, I don't.
Like, I'm down, but it's gonna be rough. And but yeah, he calls me up and he's like, yeah, let's go to the English Channel. I'm like, yeah, right, dude. Like, you're out of your mind. Like, there's no way we're getting boards over there. There's no way we're doing any of this. Like, that's logistics are crazy. And like, we start going down the list of things, like, what do we need to do? And we just start checking one thing off the box and just keep going. And we realize, oh, wow, we could kind of make this thing work. And I think I think my parents thought we were crazy. And they're like, yeah, right, this is happening. And we started figuring out, oh, support boat, like this, and we need this. We need to get boards over there. And yeah, it was just kind of just like figuring things out left and right, a lot of problem solving, and I think that's about it. Like, just problem solving was key to making this happen.
Got it. So logistics. What's harder in the Classic, your Molokai experience, and the English Channel?
Oh, this was like
Paddling or logistics? Which one's harder?
logistics.
Oh, logistics
every time.
every time.
That's what everybody underestimates. Even for the Classic, logistics of getting a boat, getting somewhere to sleep, getting all, like, it is logistically challenging. I can't imagine applying that from England to France or France to England?
England to France.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk real quickly about why the English Channel. Where did that thought come from?
Take that one.
You heard of the Triple Crown of swimming, where they swim Kiwi, Catalina, and English Channel? That's where I really got the bug, was seeing that, and people doing that. I was like, well, I've done 2 of the 3. Let's go do the other one.
Yeah, and I think the whole idea too of doing it this year is we want to do the whole Triple Crown this year.
Yeah,
So that's Molokai, so the Kiavi Channel.
Yeah.
Kiavi, and then we've got Catalina
And then English.
and
Channel.
English.
So we'll
I
get
think
all
you guys
three
should
of them.
swim it. You should swim the Triple Crown.
Let's throw on Speedos and go swim it. I'd do it.
Just an interesting one. So Maddie Musselman Wepsey, who was in here last week, she's 2-time gold Olympic water polo player, went to Corona del Mar. Her husband passed away last year, but before he did, a year before, he had swam the Catalina Channel, swam it.
Oh, wow.
He was UCLA water polo, swam the channel, and then 13 months before his passing from cancer, he swam the English Channel in 10 hours.
Wow.
Wow.
That's unbelievable. I mean, swimming, it's a whole different
Swimming
animal.
is no joke.
No joke.
That's-
When you hear her podcast, she talks about his experience swimming the Catalina Channel with no moon at night and bioluminescence. And
That's
it was,
insane.
She said it was gnarly.
Wow.
So really amazing what people can do, just
Yeah.
like you guys. So English Channel, where does it start? Where does it end?
So yeah, it starts in Dover, England, which was what they call the armpit of England.
Oh, is that
I
right?
guess is what they call it over there.
For good reason,
Yeah,
too.
for good.
That place sucks.
That place sucks.
Really?
We were stuck there for a week and we were losing our
I think
minds.
we lost it there. There's not much there. Population's like 200 people.
Oh, wow.
And
Besides the yacht club's cool.
besides
They
the
took
yacht
us
club.
in and welcomed us with
Yeah.
open arms. And
Yeah, some funny experiences from being over there, but it ends in where it ended, France?
Cap Grenade?
Or Cap Grenade.
And why were you there for a week in advance?
Because we picked a 5-day window to paddle it. We had set that up because, you know, with the swims, how they book it, it's a week or so where you have the captain and you're on a schedule and they'll pick the best day, condition dependent.
So unlike the Catalina Classic or anything here, the Molokai, it runs on this day no matter what. There, you're planning it around conditions.
Because we knew it's so all over the place and it's so hard to read, you know, with the tidal differential and all of it, the weather. It's like we're going to give ourselves
What
a
if
little
you had
bit of
picked a day? Like, let's say you had paddled it 3 days before the day you paddled it. What would it have been like?
3 days before, 3 days after, it wouldn't have happened.
wouldn't
That
have
was
happened.
the only day of the window where it was
normal conditions,
well,
like
it
good
was
conditions.
above average. That was like the
Oh,
best I think anyone's ever seen it.
I mean, it was like bay, like the bay when it's glassy all the way across.
It looked like the Newport Harbor.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But the days before and after were ugly.
Terrible.
We showed up the night before after figuring out our board situation, which we'll get to.
Oh, yeah.
And we were staying right there on the White Cliffs in Dover, you know, looking out at the channel. And you can't even see 100 yards off the beach. It's fogged in, white capping out there, like winds blowing. Like,
How daunting was it when you were there watching that, just going, what are we going to do?
well, that's what I was seeing. Is like, how is this possible? And the boat captain kept saying, "Oh yeah, tomorrow's the day. Like, we're gonna go for it. Be at the dock at 10." Or like, all right, well, let's just trust the process and see how it goes.
Those guys know the water there.
Yeah,
They
know
do.
well, the weather.
But we also showed up the night before we were going to paddle it. So we were in London for 3 days trying to figure out car situation, board situation. My parents already landed, gone straight to Dover to where the Airbnb was. And we showed up the night before, and it was like almost dark. We could barely see across, and we're like, oh, there's no way we're going tomorrow. Like, this is going to be gnarly. And next thing you know, we got the call. We're like, oh, it's on tomorrow.
So you showed up and you paddled the next morning?
Yeah,
Boom.
next morning.
the first day of
First
our
day.
window.
First day
we
of our
paddled.
window.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we get to that, you were mentioning something about boards. Tell us the board story.
So we shipped boards over. Bark and Surf Tech actually sponsored us. And those boards, we shipped them like a month and a half, 2 months in advance. Left plenty of time.
what
Like
kind
end of February, we shipped them.
What board? What board?
14-foot
14
Greyhounds.
footers.
Greyhounds.
Okay.
Yeah. And they did not arrive.
Really?
They got stuck in the Panama Canal
You're kidding.
and just arrived 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But we have a good ending to that story, though.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's
that
go.
is really
We have a
cool.
really
They
good
came
ending.
full
Tell it.
circle.
Yeah, let's go.
But then, yeah, we started. I guess we got over to. We were in London. We get the call. The boards didn't make it, and we start scrambling. We're like, what
Who's
do we-
going to have boards
What do
here?
we do?
Who's gonna have
Who's gonna have
boards,
boards?
right? Yeah.
And I think Stu called the English Coast Guard. Was that what it was?
Well, no. So William, or no,
Which one was it?
William, the guy, the previous record holder. What's his last name?
Mark.
Sorry, Mark Walton,
Walton,
who was the
yeah. previous
record holder and was someone who I got to know through the racing community. I met him at Molokai and at the Classic. He played a really instrumental role in helping us set this whole thing up. Got us connected with the boat captain, got us, you know, what the best time of year to do it was, hooked us up with all his local contacts. And before we had ever thought about shipping boards over, we were like, well, maybe there's some over there. And so he had given me his phone number, this one guy who he thought maybe had a couple stock boards. And I never called the guy, never did anything about it because we were sending boards over, but I saved his number down. And so we get there, we get this call that the boards aren't showing up, and I'm like, I'm gonna call
His buddy.
his buddy,
Yeah,
who was, what was his name?
His name was Nick.
Nick.
Nick, right?
Okay, so yeah,
Right?
Nick Ayers.
Yes.
Who works for the Coast Guard
Uh-huh.
out there. And I think he was a lifeguard too.
Yeah, he was a lifeguard.
At one point.
Yeah.
And so I call him, I'm like, hey Nick, this is our situation. Any chance you have like 2 paddleboards lying around somewhere? And he's like, yeah, I do.
No way.
I do. And he lived in Lowestoft, which is about 4 hours south.
I don't know what. It was above
That's
above us. Above us,
above
though.
Dover.
Yeah, above Dover.
And so he's super cool. We're just off the plane, like super jet lagged, kind of all over the place, falling apart. And he's like, you know what? I'm just going to come drop the boards off at your doorstep in London.
Wow.
Yeah. And so he pulled through like no other. Like without him, we couldn't have done
Yeah, we would have been screwed.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you ended up doing it on stock boards.
it. On
Stock
stock
boards,
boards.
Bark stock boards.
Bark.
Our
Stock
stock
boards.
boards that happened to be in this remote little town in
So he
England.
brings him down, drops him to you. You jump in the car, you guys drive to Dover, and the next morning you paddle.
Well,
Yeah.
it wasn't that easy. No one would rent us a car.
That was because none of us were 25. That was the one issue. But we had this one filmer buddy with us who was 24, and they were like, "Oh, it's close enough. It's all good." So we rented this car.
They gave us like the nicest Mercedes van ever, like way too nice for us to be driving.
It's brand new Mercedes Sprinter, and we were just like, and the one learning curve with driving there, it's all on the other side of the road. So we all get in this car, we rent the car. I, of course, put my car down, so everything's under my name.
And I was the designated driver.
Yeah. And so Stu was driving. I had my car down, and we get in the car, and we're all just yelling at each other. We're like, we need to do this thing right, this right, this right. And we barely pulled it by making it back to the house. And we made it, though. We got the boards packed up and then left the next morning to off the Dover. And that was like getting the car and the board is probably like easily the hardest part of the trip, because it probably took us, I don't think we even had a car rented when we got over to London. I'm like, Stu, like, we got to get this car. Like, we got to do it before we take off. And he's like, no, dude, like, we got it. Like, we'll do it when we're over there. We'll get it figured out.
Get one at the airport.
We'll get one
like,
at the
no
airport.
worries.
Start looking at the airport. You can't get anything. Nothing that'll fit surfboards or paddleboards. And I don't even know how.
And it was
we,
like Easter Sunday, too,
Yeah.
when we got the car. Like, everywhere was closed.
so everything was like kind of going
Hold
downhill.
on, you can't just put a 12-foot paddleboard in the back of a Prius. Doesn't work that way.
I mean, we probably could.
We probably could have made
Yeah.
it work. Honestly, we were pretty determined. By
Wow.
this point.
Okay, so
Oh.
and the paddle goes from the England side to France.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you drive out to the Airbnb where your folks are,
Uh-huh.
and the next morning,
Yeah,
Next
next
morning.
morning we're
Yeah.
paddling.
Boom.
Just
Uh-huh.
straight to it. Like
Straight
and the
to it.
conditions were shitty, and then they clear. You get there at 10 in the morning, and it's like, oh, it's pretty
It
nice.
looks like a lake out
It looked
there.
like a lake.
It's like,
Wow.
It was
wow.
unreal.
What was the temperature?
It was cold. It was like 45. It was real
10
cold.
degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
What were you wearing?
3-2 and booties. Stu and no booties.
I thought I was going to chunk it, but I luckily had an extra wetsuit that I brought for
So
one of
it-
the film guys.
Paddling in a full suit's that adds a whole nother element too.
That's my first time doing that,
I think
actually.
our first time. But it ended up not being that bad just because you were so cold. Because the air was also 40 and the water was 45. So you were so cold that it was all good. Like we got in the water and we just ripped
Well,
it.
and it sounds like it was buttery.
Yeah,
was
it was
buttery.
great.
So you weren't taking it in the face. It wasn't
No.
splashing over you and making you extra super cold.
Nothing.
And it's like once you're moving, you get
Yeah,
warmed up.
it's all
and
good.
you're
Okay,
just
so you
going.
guys have paddled Molokai. You've paddled Catalina
Uh-huh.
a number of times. How was it paddling that body of water? What was it like?
I mean,
Pretty surreal.
Yeah.
Because you think about it too, and it's one country to the other. It's
Yeah.
like, where else are you going to do that? That was my big draw to this
Yeah.
specifically.
Uh-huh.
It's like England to France. Like, that's something.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it was an unreal experience. To say
So
the least.
cool.
Yeah.
And okay, so let's talk about it. You guys, you talked a lot. It was shitty conditions leading up to and thereafter, but that day it was like a lake.
yeah.
It was pretty freaking fast.
It was fast. And I'll speak to that. So we got strategic, and William timed it so that we would leave on the high and go across as it was dropping low. And so
yeah, you were going downhill the whole
we
time.
were going
Yeah,
with the
downhill.
current the whole way.
The whole
and
way.
buttery, smooth
And
conditions.
just perfect, smooth, like what you dream of. And we somehow got that for
so,
the day of.
So it's talk about the distance, talk about the time,
What was it, like
22 miles, I think, across.
which is the same as the Rock to Rock, which is the same
Yeah,
as
same as
from
Rock to Rock.
the Isthmus to Palos Verdes. So same as the distance we have here.
Yeah.
And you did it fast. Talk about the time.
We did it in 3 hours, 27 minutes. And the previous record was 3 hours, 54 by the guy who helped us do all logistics.
Mark Strandhill.
He's never loaning you boards again. You took my record? Never.
He actually encouraged. I didn't think we were
Yeah.
breaking any records, but he's like, "No, you guys should go beat it. Like
Yeah.
it's soft."
He was
and I was
stoked
like,
for us.
"All right, we'll see." I
That's
didn't
so
think it was
cool.
gonna happen, and then
Uh-huh.
And you
sure
knew
enough,
what the record was going in.
yeah.
Yeah, we knew everything. And we honestly, the night before, Stu and I were like, even if we don't break the record, like, we're still stoked to be over. We're still done the
Oh,
channel.
yeah.
Like,
And let's just have fun with
either
it.
way, we're going to be stoked. And, like, we kind of just went into it with, like, that mindset. And so that was, like, awesome because neither of us were stressed. Like, we were kind of just having a good
it's not a
time.
race.
It's not a race.
We were
just,
like having a casual
Yeah.
conversation,
Yeah.
like the whole way across, and we look like 5 mile mark, check the watch,
Yeah.
10 mile mark. Oh, it's looking okay. Like we're doing pretty good.
But your average speed, if you're doing 3.5 hours over 22 miles, you're like hanging at a 6 mile an hour pace.
Just about,
on
yeah.
a stock board. You're looking at that going, oh my God, I've never gone this fast on
No,
a
Yeah,
stockboard
no, we
ever.
were just like, it's like a lazy river or
Yeah.
something. I don't know. I mean,
No,
that's probably the
the-
best way to describe it.
The currents over there are just nothing like we've ever seen. Like there was like or buoys with, I don't know what if they were traps or something, but you could see the buoys and the way the tide was ripping. You could see it almost like white, like almost creating like a little wave off the
Wow.
buoy with the current. And I'm like, wow, the current's really strong out here. Like this is no joke.
Yeah, that's so. I mean, 4.5 miles an hour on a stockboard over 22 miles is pretty rock solid. So if you
Uh-huh.
get 6+, you were smoking. Super
Yeah.
fun. What a
Yeah,
cool
we're
experience.
stoked.
That was a first and maybe a last. I don't
Yeah.
know if I'll
Never
go that
going-
fast ever again.
Yeah.
But
We'll never doing the English Channel again. That's for
No.
sure.
Well, but you'll find. Is there another one on your
oh
horizon?
yeah,
Oh yeah, we have
Yeah.
a bunch.
Oh.
Yeah.
we got a list of
We
them.
got a list
I
of
love
ideas.
this. I love that.
So,
But pretty amazing. Again, and did you stay in Europe a little while after that?
I went to London with my family, and then Stu went to France with his family.
Yeah, I stayed for like a week and a half with my
Epic.
mom and sister.
Yeah.
What a cool experience. Like when I was running marathons and stuff, I would always look when I'd be in Europe. I would always try to plan my trips or go find something to go do because you see a whole nother, like if you're there and you can go do the sightseeing, but if you can go paddle the channel or run the marathon,
Yeah.
like you get a whole nother experience when you're there. Like it's
Yeah.
such a cool thing. Like
So fun.
And you've now done something in the prone world. Of all the prone paddlers, I don't know anybody in my circle from Southern California that's ever done the English Channel. There's probably a couple of the South Bay guys, maybe, but
I don't even think so. It's
I
like
don't
Laird
think
and
so.
Buzzy
Laird
and
and
a
Buzzy
couple
and a few
European
others.
guys.
Yeah, because there's also no boards over there. Oh, but the other thing is about the board. Our board's making it over there 2 weeks ago. So
Well, hold on. I want to say too before we shift off it.
Okay.
What was crazy was we finished the paddle, right? We stopped. We're like sitting there, regrouping, and that's when the wind picked up.
Yes.
It just started howling.
As soon as you were
we
done.
showed up, we got there to the beach. I got on the beach, took a photo with my board. Wad didn't want to climb up the cliff.
That is not true. I had booties on and I couldn't make it up the rocks.
Keep telling yourself that.
so
Okay,
you guys
okay.
planned your boat guy was just dead nuts on.
We had
Nailed it for
two
you.
boats
yeah.
with us, and I didn't realize this until your dad told us after the fact, but we encountered like 15 to 20 tanker ships out there, like those big container ships, because it's a shipping lane, you know? And we had the right of way, so they waited for us.
Wow.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
Okay.
because the captain was hailing them off, and
Okay.
we were going in front of them, and you couldn't see them with the fog, but they were out there. And John told us after the fact, and then we got there, and the wind picked up, and it was a pretty wet ride back.
Yeah, it was a rough ride home, but it was nice because we didn't get wet there.
Yeah.
So it was all good.
Yeah, we'll take it that direction,
Yeah,
not the
we'll
opposite,
take it,
right?
yeah.
Good for you guys. What a cool experience. Like, again, I've been paddling a long time, but I've never done. I mean, like I said, I don't know anybody that's done that. So I can't wait to hear what other ones you have on your horizon.
Top
That's-
secret.
I love it.
Oh.
That's so
Wow.
cool. Listen, I think you mentioned you had a filmer with you.
Yes.
You guys are doing a film project. I saw you guys doing a
Yes.
little bit of this last weekend out
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
water. What do you got going?
Yeah, so we're making a little documentary based off what we did, and we had a full film crew over there filming everything, and we're just still filming a little bit, getting interviews wrapped up and whatnot, but we hope to have it done by like mid to end July is our goal, and we want to premiere at the Lido Theater.
Oh,
So,
epic.
yeah.
So yeah, a little hometown movie.
Yeah,
That'll be insane. We'll all look forward to seeing
Yeah.
that.
so that'll be awesome.
Outstanding. Super cool. And then, okay, so you have double secret stuff on the horizon.
Tell them
as
about
far
the
as-
boards though. What happened with the
Oh,
boards?
Are we not announcing that one?
No, we can't. But I
Okay,
want to.
okay.
So the boards that showed up 2 weeks ago,
Oh yeah.
we sold them to a friend of. Why am I blanking on his name? Nick Ayers.
the guy who gave us the boards.
His friends, they wanted 2 boards. They're stoked because like there's no boards over there. And
Yeah.
they'd been wanting to ship some over for some time. So it just worked out. And yesterday, they just paddled the North Channel on those very boards, which is Ireland to Scotland. Is that what that is?
Yes, I think so.
Really?
I
Yeah.
would say.
What's that? I don't know anything about that one.
I think it's in the mid-20s.
Yeah, and
So now, hold on. But now you guys have boards and friends. So you can go do the North Channel or any other channel that might be over there.
Could
Or
be on the
whatever else.
horizon.
Could
I
be
don't
on the
know.
horizon.
Who
Who
knows?
knows?
Oh,
Who
gosh.
knows?
Love it. Another movie about that one. This summer, what paddling do you have planned?
yeah, so we're doing, like we mentioned, we're doing Molokai to Oahu, the 2-man relay together.
End of
then-
July.
In July.
Awesome.
And then we're doing Catalina Classic. And the Ben Carlson event, of course.
Dude, triple whammy.
And then,
And then we've been talking for a while, about a year and a half now, of doing San Clemente Island to Newport, 60 miles,
Ooh, there you go.
which would be No one's ever done that one. Or
You know
about
anyone
that-
that's done it?
You do
Yeah.
know. Oh, you
Guys
do know.
from San Diego.
San Diego. Okay.
Oh yes, I heard about those.
So it's
guys,
not a
yeah.
first.
It's just not a first. Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure I know people that have done
Okay.
that one. We can
Okay.
talk about
Okay.
We should talk to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the big one we want to do this summer.
And I'm sure if you wanted to, you could find some other people to do that one with you because there's so many. I mean, the Jack Bark crew, they're doing 100 milers.
Oh, yeah.
Like crazy.
Yeah, no.
Rad. You will have done in 1 year a whole lot of long distance channel crossings. Epic. Good for you. I love it. I love the adventure stuff because there's the race stuff, which is fun. But I had a poster from my very first race and it said, first or finisher. Everybody remembers that Jack Bark won last summer, but who got second?
Exactly.
What about the year before?
Yeah.
Like the racing's rad if that's what you're into, if you want to try to win it or just do your best. But the adventures and the history and the stories, like I love what you guys are doing. So don't stop doing that. I keep looking at your shirts. We just have to do it. What's Western Hydrodynamic Research and who is responsible for that brand?
It's a really cool local thing. Our buddy Pat Towersy has been doing it.
Punker Pat.
Punker
Bunker
Pat.
He's actually
Shout
my
out to
neighbor.
him.
He's my neighbor too.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Good guy.
Pat's been around forever, went to high school right here, world-class waterman, stud. He's done the Catalina Classic.
And
He's done a lot of-
Molokai.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
On a
any of
redeye,
that.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah, he's an incredible, and he's a ride anything guy.
Yeah,
Jack
he
of
is.
all trades.
Yeah, he rides
Do
everything.
it
He
all.
rips no matter
Yeah.
what.
Mhm.
Yeah, we love Pat.
He's the
awesome.
man.
Let me ask you the last question. We've talked a lot about the paddling and the cool stuff you have on the horizon, public or private. You've got the movie coming, lots of channel crossings. You've been doing a lot. You guys talked both about career, where you might go and living your dreams and all this stuff, and working on the boats and collecting and all this cool stuff. 10 years from now, if I was to sit you down here and have a conversation about what between this conversation and 10 years, like, what do you hope the next 10 looks like for you guys?
I mean, I don't
Take
even-
paddling, just life, world, whatever.
I mean, I'd love to have more Catalina crossings under my belt. That'd be great. But I literally could not tell you. I mean, there's a bunch of things in paddling I'd love to accomplish.
Right.
I mean, I'd love to be a winner of the Catalina Classic. That's
Oh.
like a huge
Big
goal.
claims,
That's a
Riley. I don't
huge
know
goal
about
right
that
there.
one.
I love that.
Well, hey,
Yeah.
we're young.
And
Yeah, we are.
you are young. for sure.
So that's obviously a huge one for paddling. Definitely a 10-year goal, 10-plus year goal.
Epic.
So that would be sick.
Rad.
But who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, Newport Dock Detail could be a mega
You
by
never
then,
know.
right?
You never know.
Stewie?
I kind of hope I'm still right here, down in the zone, doing the same stuff, and hopefully my boat's a little bigger by then.
You had mentioned you've got a yard now? Like,
I do have a yard over in Westside Costa Mesa. That's Left Coast Marine. Me and my buddy Evan. You name it, we'll fix it.
got it.
I think the biggest boat at our yard right now is like 45 foot. That's as big as we can
Wow.
haul out on a trailer.
Wow.
Yeah.
No messing around.
No messing around.
Super impressive. Guys, if people want to find or follow your exploits and all the stuff you're doing, where do they find you?
Well, either of our Instagrams.
What's yours?
Spencer Wadsworth, and then I don't know what Stu's is.
Stu Jeremias.
Okay. We'll put that in the podcast for people to
Do we
find.
want to announce our other Insta?
Oh yeah, if you want to see some more paddling specific stuff,
Yeah.
check out Old Balboa Paddle Crew.
That's
Yeah.
the new one I saw.
Yeah. That's
the new one.
That's super cool.
It's the latest and greatest.
latest.
Keep loading that up.
Yeah.
That's super cool. Guys, I love what you're doing. I'm super stoked. Like I said at the beginning, I love the young energy of prone and what that's doing now. And like what you guys are doing for me, like I love that we have all these people doing the bend and training for the classic, the adventures. I just love the passion for it. And you guys are super into it and doing all this cool stuff. Like it's just rad. So I hope you continue to draw other people with you to think bigger and go further and do different stuff. Because for me, prone paddling has been a huge part of my life, and I'm not doing it as much as I used to, but it's left a big mark, and it's introduced me to incredible people, incredible places, and a pretty good level of fitness. And just, I think anybody that spends that kind of time on and in the water and in that world, it's such a cool world of people. You've mentioned a
100%.
lot of them, the Joe Barks and all these, like it's just an incredible spot. And I hope you keep doing it. I can't wait to hear of your next adventures and those stories and all the cool stuff you're doing with your careers and all that stuff. So don't stop. Super stoked. Grateful you guys came in here today. And just big kudos to your folks and your families for full support and I think driving you guys or supporting all of it to keep your gills wet and keep you guys going hard in the water. It's super
yeah.
rad.
Yeah.
Super rad.
Yeah. Super stoked.
Get your dad on a paddleboard.
He won't do it. I've been trying.
He's too
There's
smart.
5 of them in the garage, but he won't go do
He's
it.
way too smart. I'm gonna come look in your garage.
You
too.
should. Come
All
check
right,
it out.
I will. Boys, thank you so much. Super
Yeah,
proud of
thank
you.
you.
Keep rocking and
Thank
rolling.
you,
Thank
Mark.
you.
Thank you for having
Yeah,
us.
this
You
is
got
awesome.
it. Thanks,
Yeah,
fellas.
stoked.